Hi, and welcome to doTERRA U, the official podcast of doTERRA Europe. On this podcast, you will hear from world-class speakers and experts on education, inspiration, and actionable tips to help you live your best doTERRA life. My name is Luda Bolcato, Product Education Manager of doTERRA Europe, and pleased to be your host today. Today, I am speaking to Presidential Diamond Daniela Huelsen. Daniela, or Dani, is someone I have admired for some years now. She's a fellow yogini and is an absolute inspiration on how you can run a successful business, but also how to maintain a balanced and healthy life at the same time. Please note that this episode is also available in German. Okay, let's get started. So, Dani, you obviously are a wellness powerhouse. I would really like to start by asking you to give us a description on who you are and why you do what you do.
I do what I do because I love a healthy lifestyle. I think that was even before I met doTERRA and the oils. I actually always loved being outside on walks and exercising, enjoying healthy food and everything around that. But when I got introduced to the oils, I think a lot changed in terms of finding even more time connecting with myself because 2016 I met the oils and also had my first yoga teacher training. So it came both into my life and that really changed everything.
I know obviously we've spoken before and you have quite a unique story, and I think it will be very inspiring for people to hear about your story. So can you tell us about your life back in Australia before you found doTERRA?
Yes, I'm holding a business degree, and it was an international study program where I also have to go abroad. And so I spent 2005 about half a year in Australia at the Gold Coast Surfers Paradise. It was really paradise, and I fell in love with a guy, and we had a long distance relationship for 3 years, always with the goal to move to Australia together. And we realized that in 2008. So I left Germany actually with the idea I'm going for good. I will move to Australia and that's it. Because I was madly in love and I really thought at the time, this is the guy I will marry. We had an amazing time, and when I reflect on that time, I also know that it was an important piece on my journey, also to build a network and to be a professional, also salesperson. I mean, we're not just sharing oils, we also do sales. And with my partner, John, at the time, because the options were also being a nanny, which I did, and working as a bartender, which I also did. Both a little out of my comfort zone because I was holding a really good degree. But a lot of people think you are just a backpacker moving through. And I always said, no, I'm here to stay. And there were also some visa issues. So we started actually a job, which meant basically knocking on doors and selling a program for kids to the parents, just a tutor program. And as you can imagine, it was not the easiest of all jobs, but we learned a lot from our mentor about sales. And one important phrase, it's still in my mind, and I think I said it already to my team. If you tell, you won't sell. If you ask why, they will buy. And that really stuck in my head because it's about the why. And then finding the problem and offering a solution. And I think with doTERRA, we have so many amazing solutions. And it's about listening and connecting to people, even if they are, not just your friends, and building that rapport, that connection, in the very first minutes of meeting someone. Well, and I think this is a very foundational skill I got to learn there, even not knowing that I will use it many years later.
And sounded like this first job kind of prepared you a little bit for this business, which is incredible. So the universe had its own
Had a
plan.
plan, yes, although I was very unhappy at the time at some point because it was not what I wanted to do. But at some point, I got a job in sales and marketing, and I got to travel a lot. So I always, learned the sales side, selling advertisements in the broadcast industry, which was a male dominated industry. But I always knew that if I walk into a room with a smile and, with an open heart, I will catch people. And and with the marketing and all of that, I think I learned also how to market myself and, whatever there is you're offering.
Like how learning how to market yourself and to present yourself when you
It's
are there, because
important.
people are
Yeah.
buying products, but also they need to buying you in inverted commas.
They buy you because you're an inspiration. They buy from you, I want to say.
Hmm.
They're not buying me actually, but
Yeah.
they're buying my time,
Hmm.
and how I care. But if you really embody and live, the lifestyle and all of that, if it's really authentic and true to yourself, then it's also authentic to others. And I think this is one of the things that we need to keep in mind nowadays, that it's not about making it just look good and have a good slogan. This is back in the days with all the PR, and all of that. It's more about really going out, sharing from your own experience, your own story, and this is where I connect to people, even now.
This come from like practice and learning and experiences? Because maybe at the beginning you think, oh, if I just package this, whatever this is, in a really nice way, people will get it, people will buy it. And then after a while, you learn that actually you have to be true to yourself to be able to do this business.
When I started this business, it was not with the idea of, okay, I will be presidential diamond at some point. Because in 2016, and it was more 2017, when I started to share the oils, there were not so many people in Europe already at the top. There were not so many like business inspirations in Europe. And actually, I didn't look so much to the US market and was involved in following people who were already maybe, at higher ranks. I just shared purely because I love the oils, and I'm always someone. I'm a sharer. I'm a Aquarius with my star sign, and Aquarius is a natural networker. I still in touch with all the people I know from back in the days in Australia. I'm really good in keeping connections with my friends and even people I randomly know. And I'm just going out, having fun and sharing and talking about it. And this is, I think, what helped me a lot in the beginning, because people just felt that energy.
That is beautiful. I love that you also mentioned your star sign, just like that, and how it's part of your nature.
I can also share my human design. A lot of people actually in my team, they introduce themselves with the human design. I think it's something, maybe, in those modern days. I'm a generator. I'm a generator 1.3. And I know that in my chart, a lot of the centers, my root is defined, and also my crown. So this means I have a lot of energy, like an engine. The engine is running. Plus, I have the connection to something I call universe. A higher presence, where I always feel all the answers are given to me when I know that need to know them.
So you mentioned energy. So my next question is, have you ever experienced burnout? I'm guessing yes, but can you walk us through that experience and maybe what you learned from that?
It was actually, I think, one of the most important times in my life, and last year at convention in Lisbon, I talked about this on stage because it was just also reflecting back on the time. I realized it was really important for me. It cracked me open in a way. It really allowed me to change my path in life, and it all started because my life in Australia started to crumble. I had visa issues because I was not dating that guy anymore, and then I got my job got terminated, and all the signs were like, go home to Germany. And I was really fighting and really trying to stay because I was like, no, I want to stay. At some point, I felt like there is no energy left anymore. I lost that battle. So I went home and really felt like a failure because with 31, I moved back into the house of my parents in my kids' room, basically with in I thought with nothing because my friends, they were mostly married and they had great jobs and they were kind of set up in life, and I felt like all the years I spent in Australia were just a waste of time because I was back to zero. And I at that time I was just focusing on the outside, on what you have on the outside, like a job, a relationship. And I felt so worthless. Honestly, I felt so I'm not worth anything. And that really brought me into a very dark hole. I didn't have the oils or anything to support me. I didn't know yoga at the time. I didn't meditate. I was unaware that there's a universe within me, that there is a place within me with a lot of light. I really thought I lost it. I really thought this is over now. And it was around 6 months where I walked through this, deep valley. But I'm very proud and happy that I managed by myself with the help of amazing people that got sent to me. I was guided to them, people who could see that I don't need a pill. I need some tools. And then I started my first coaching training and I got in touch with a lot of people call it a higher self, an energy that is divine, a presence. This is so much bigger than we are as just human people in this body. And tears were running down my face when I had that connection for the first time. I was like, wow. And that was basically the start of my, also you can say spiritual journey. And that was in 2013. So it's 11 years ago. And I'm still on the journey and it never ends. And in Lisbon on stage at the convention, I was talking about the butterfly, how the butterfly, the caterpillar, needs to go into a cocoon, stay there for a while so the butterfly can actually grow and the wings you need to fly. And last year, 2 3 months after that convention, I've really felt like another metamorphosis started to happen. And I was like, really? And I was not burnt out, but there was a lot of emotions coming up, and also looking at the darker sides, of yourself and allowing this to show. And I think a lot of people feel the same, and because the times right now we're in are a bit challenging in a way. I hear it from so many people in my network or new clients I talk to. Most of the people, they need something to calm their mind, to balance their emotions. So I would say emotional healing is one of the top things we need to look at.
You have no idea, Danny, how much this resonates with me personally, as I'm sure with many other listeners as well. I went through a similar phase a couple of years ago. I had to relocate back home, and it was a very tumultuous, challenging time. And I'm sure, 100% sure that this resonates with so many people. So thank you for sharing that.
I think you always need to remember if you go through a darker time in your life, that there is something magical happening in those moments. It's like that's why I love the image of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly.
Hmm.
It needs this going inside. It needs this sometimes pressure. Also, how to create
Yeah,
diamonds. You
yeah.
need the pressure, and always, there's always a gift within this part
Hmm.
of your
Yeah.
life.
The challenge, I guess, is that sometimes you cannot see the reason why you're going through those, or to see that there is an exit. And of course there is an exit, there is a way out always, but sometimes it's challenging to realize there is a way out, there is a something else, something better, something different, that's waiting on the other side of this dark moment.
I think all you need is faith. All you need is to trust. There's one phrase or sentence I always have in mind: the universe is a friendly one. Nothing is happening just to you, it's happening for you. And it's happening for you, I call it awakening. And with the awakening, I mean, for me, for example, back in the days, realizing even if on the outside things are missing, it has nothing to do, it's not related to my worth. I run with one of my leaders just recently the I Am Worthy challenge or journey. It's a 5-week program, but by Desiree Delune, another great leader from the US. It's a book. That's available, and realizing that you're actually worth it. No matter what, whether you have a job or relationship, how much money you're earning, which rank you're holding, this is the awakening. And also knowing, okay, it's me in this body, and I might have some drama going on, but there is something even bigger and an even greater plan for me.
I think that comes with a lot of maturity and self-awareness, and we always say this journey is a self-discovery journey, right? It's something that you
Yeah,
keep learning every day.
you unwrap yourself, your true self. Yeah, one of the phrases everyone heard before is like, it's self-development wrapped in essential oils. I think I heard this at my first convention 2017 in Amsterdam, and it was a very small convention back in the days. And I was like, interesting. But I was interested in developing myself, my personality. And looking back, I can say, yes, it's mostly that. If you really think that you just need a couple good sales tricks, and tools to rock that business, I really believe that you need to be willing to grow inside,
Hmm.
because your inside is a reflection of the outside. So if you're not really stretching yourself from the inside and willing to grow, I don't think that the outside, and in terms of the business, it's the size of your organization and your team and your rank, that this won't flow easily.
Yeah.
You might achieve it with a lot of strengths, physical strengths, and this might lead you to another burnout. Because
Hmm.
I also see, also in our wellness industry, people running themselves into the ground. Because I mean, we're in the business of caring for other people, and really with the doTERRA vision of helping the world heal. But this means, and I'm going through this myself, you need to heal yourself first. How
Absolutely.
am I able to help anyone else if I'm not feeling well, nourished, and with a full energy tank,
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love this. And we've spoken about this a couple of days ago. I'm really passionate about this topic. So please, Danny, tell us something about your self care routine and what it means for you. What are you willing to share with us?
Everything.
Thank you.
Well, I think this is my top priority, in my life. And I just ran a retreat here where I live at Tegernsee, which is outside of Munich, with 25 people. And I was teaching yoga. I'm not an active yoga instructor anymore, so I don't have regular classes or anything. I stopped this in 2020, but I still love teaching in retreats. and I was sharing meditations with them. But most of it, we really, I really told them what I do on a daily basis, because it's the daily actions that lead to success, or that lead to, you really feel good, even if the going gets rough. And for me and my partner Christian, it's yeah, getting up fairly early. We are rather early birds than, late birds going to bed. So we love going to bed early, having at least, I love to sleep, having at least 8 hours, um, sometimes more, and then getting up, having our yoga routine, and then we meditate. I think meditation is so important, because this is the moment in the morning where I connect to the source, where I connect to the universal chat GPT, and I got answers if I have questions. I got energy. I can download the light I need. Everything is available. I just need to be able and willing to plug in. And then we have a new routine. It's not that new anymore, but since a year basically, of having ceremonial raw cacao in the morning. So I'm not drinking coffee anymore. And actually, this is also cute. And so I'm sharing it. I was at the global presidential diamond trip for the first time last year. I was invited. I went, this is a big deal. It's the biggest incentive you can be part of. And we were in Jordan. And also it was the first trip after the break, after the pandemic. So we were even more people. And I think by the end of the trip, we were at the sea, with hanging out with some of the presidential diamonds, and then um, James Bybee, husband of Roxanne Bybee, and she's actually the sister of Natalie Goddard. So this is the connection. He was talking about cacao, and he's so crazy about cacao. He brought all the equipment, and so other PDs were saying, "Yeah, we're also drinking cacao," and I was like, okay, there must be something about cacao and success in that business and presidential diamonds. And so we actually started last summer to have our cacao routine. I share this a lot on Instagram, and I think I already got a lot of people hooked on it. And I have also dear fellow leader Emily Mascarenas from the UK, and she's also a cacao lover. And so we have our cacao routine in the morning, and then we pick some cards, to get some inspiration for the
Are
day.
we
To
talking tarot reading?
Yeah, tarot, but also other like cards, and it gives you also like a little nudge sometimes. Hey, you need to look at that, or here, go that way. And then I probably schedule, calls from 10:30 onwards, like mentoring calls. I go mostly outside. I love my walks. I'm a walker in nature, and I know some people like judge it because they say like, oh, you go outside and you go for a walk, but you're not enjoying nature because you're on a call. And I was reflecting on that, because I call it walk and talk, and I was like, what, isn't it better to be outside with fresh air, sun in my face, than being stuck in front of a Zoom and a laptop, So sorry, I choose that, because when I'm walking, I'm in motion and all my thoughts come naturally. I have great ideas, and there's a certain energy also running through me. And I hear it over and over again. People on the other side, my mentee, they will tell me afterwards, wow, this was so energizing.
Yeah, I'm sure you can pass on the energy to them. Like you're recharging yourself, but you're passing on the energy to them.
And I do something that nourishes me, that makes me feel good, and that I love. And I think we're all choosing this business for a reason of freedom, of a reason of being free to choose how we do it. And yeah, I've always done it like that, and I'm not someone being stuck in front of my computer for a lot. I'm happy about that.
And actually, that triggered my next question. And I wanted to ask you, why did you pick network marketing?
I think network marketing picked me. It was really, it was, I think it's a calling. with looking back on my history, and as I said, all the little puzzle pieces, it was the picture that was laid out for me. It's my soul's plan to use a network, and creating a big organization to feed a certain energy and message into my team, because people who know me and maybe heard me at the conventions, or the German speaking crowd, my own podcast, I do my business in a very conscious way. And I bring even my, spirituality from yoga and everything like that into my business. And then I think for me, it works perfectly. And I even I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. Some people might know that. I even read a little paragraph from a book, A Return to Love, from Marianne Williamson, which is a great inspirational book I can highly recommend. And this course really changed my life, and also is infused into my business, because the principles are very easy. I always have a choice. I can choose love or I can choose fear. And the one thing connects me to other people, and the other thing, fear, separates me. And if you want to live a network style and you want to create a big network, you need to be willing to connect to a lot of people. So, yeah, this is what I do. And so I think it's not that I consciously went out there and looked for an opportunity to be self-employed. I actually had never the wish to run my own business. It just was a natural flow of things. And each door that opened, I just said, okay, I go through it, I try. I started this business full time in 2018 without any doubts that I could fail.
Without any doubt that you would be able to do it.
And I thought, what is the worst thing that could happen? Because I quit my job. It's like, I will find another job. I just give it a shot. And I think a lot of people are being held back by their own doubts and maybe fears of not being successful. And then I'm thinking, just do one step at a time. It's like walking up a mountain. We're surrounded here by a lot of mountains. It's like when I start hiking, I never see the top, but I see the path in front of me, and I choose actively to each step to go. And maybe if I need a break, I break, but I really want to go to the top. So that's my commitment to keep going.
So, what is the biggest challenge you've encountered while on this journey, while building your doTERRA business, and what did you learn from it?
I think the biggest challenge for me personally was to watch and to respect my own boundaries and my own also energy boundaries, because I was, after the relationship breakup from Australia, I was on my own. I was single for 8 years, also when I started the business. So I had a lot of time, I had no family in that way, that I was not married, no kids. And I fully gave everything I had to this business, and also yoga and trainings. And I went to all the events, and I reached the rank silver, gold, diamond. I was never platinum, actually. I never lost the rank. So for me, it was just keep going. And I never rewarded myself in terms of really being proud of myself. I just pushed through, and, there's more to achieve. And in 2020, by the end of 2020, when I hit Blue Diamond, I met Christian, and, then I had someone watching me on a daily basis and really telling me how much I actually do, how, because this doTERRA business, sorry, it doesn't feel like work. Still, it's not work for me, but is, so I need time to recover. And I could feel it sometimes with, symptoms of my body really telling me, hey, you need to rest. And I think within the last year, and people tell me that, so I know it's true, it's happening, a lot of things changed. I watch my energy. I think I'm softer. I'm maybe more feminine in a way of because the feminine energy is also the energy of receiving and allowing, of letting go a little bit, surrendering. And the male energy is more of, I push through, I go.
So do you think you were in your masculine energy for quite a long time?
I think so, yes. And I think a lot of people or a lot of women can relate. I talked about this a lot. And it's also because we come from a time really dominated in general by that energy. And there's a shift happening right now. And I think everyone can feel that shift, and it's about that the feminine doesn't have to carry that male energy within. I mean, we are both. It's like a dance between both. And I think you cannot just say, "Oh, I'm just on the one side or I'm just on the other side." Even men have, and this is like men, Christian is one of those guys allowing feelings and to communicate that. He loves to hang out with a lot of women and he still feels comfortable. It's like, a person who is sensitive enough to also to feel the other person. And I think we embody both. And I think there's a new also way for us women to do this business.
I absolutely love that. That could be part of a whole other podcast where we just talk about
Yeah,
feminine and masculine energy, maybe,
and
and
it's
cacao.
still, yeah, and it's about the nourishing parts. I think if you also, for example, this is something new to me as well, as a woman, you mostly have still your moon cycle, and you also need to respect that not every day is the same. When you're in the beginning of your cycle, you might need to rest a little more. And for me, since 2-3 months, I realized that I can honor my body a bit more when I'm going through that. There are other cultures where this is more natural for women to do. They just, they have a tent and they lay there and they get served with, and I think this is beautiful also to talk about this, because this business, should, or allows us, this is probably more the word, it allows us to really pay attention also to those times, or yeah, when we just feel we need a break, we need to rest. Because if you hold space for so many other people in your team, again, just coming out of the retreat, I hold the space for a lot of people. It's tiring a bit.
Yeah, I think we live in a society that teaches us that it's always go time, it's always go, 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 do, do, do. So it really, it's about relearning and rewiring ourselves a little bit, maybe, to allow that moment of rest. Like, no, actually, I need that in order to be able to serve other better.
Totally right. Because and this is, I think, linked still to the idea or the pattern we have in ourselves, that we need to perform to be worth it, and that just through performance on the outside, we deserve something, and we need to break that pattern within us. And this comes with healing, with going to the parts of ourselves that still think that they need to perform. And it's not about not performing, but it's not the performance where, like, okay, people praising themselves working 80 hours a week, for example. You can do it for certain times in your life, but I think when you grow older, or when you choose a network, you get aware that this is not probably the lifestyle you really want.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, Daniel, I think I could speak about this for a very, very long time, but I do have a couple more questions for you. So one is, if you could go back in time and speak with your younger selves, what advice would you give you comparing yourself now to Danny when you started the business?
the advice would be, girl, relax a little bit, recharge yourself after you've achieved something amazing. Be proud of yourself. You really have to learn to be proud of yourself. Clap on your own shoulders and recognize yourself for everything you do. Yeah, this is really something someone told me. I have a lot of also spiritual coaches and people, supporting me in the background. And she told me once, really, Dani, you need to learn that. You need to be proud of yourself. And then Christian was reminding me in the beginning, it's like, have you been proud of yourself? Like each day, because there's always something we can be so proud of ourselves.
So how do you keep track with that gratitude now today? Do you have like a tracker? Do you have like a moment of gratitude?
I think it's constantly more or less, but when I go to bed and we have a really comfy bed, I lay there and I like, this is amazing, and I thank for that day. Even when there were challenging conversations or stuff, because those are actually the moments where we can grow and where I can practice what I've learned in yoga, in the Course in Miracles, and I can reflect. And I think being grateful even for the things where you're like, oh, I don't want it that way. Remember, the universe is a friendly one, knowing that this is happening for you. This is happening actually for something where you might see it differently later, or I don't know why in that moment, but it will make sense at some time in the future.
The last question I have for you, Dani, is how would you describe yourself in one word and why?
A lot of people told that to me. Lighthouse or miracle worker. No, but the lighthouse is I think a very nice analogy to, I as I connect myself to those universal energies, to a loving presence, I fill myself with light, and that shines on the path of others so they can walk their path. It's not about me dragging someone. This is very important also in the business. Everyone has a free will and we cannot force someone. And even if we think someone is so, so perfect for the business, there's always divine timing. What I can do as a lighthouse, shine even brighter like the boat, so they can find their way home, going to shore, to the harbor. And yeah, so I really consider myself as one of those light workers, energy workers, or with the course miracle workers, because they choose actually always love as an answer. And I know how difficult it is. I fail a lot because this is really hard, to be connected to love all the time. But you get better on it because it's like almost like an inner muscle you're training. I was just talking about that the past days to the people. It's like you need to go to a kind of spiritual gym, you need to kind of train your attitudinal muscle so you're able to switch back even when your ego tells you, to fight or to judge, or, to go after someone. Just coming back to your own peace of mind, coming back and knowing, and this is very important, that we're all one. And whatever you give into a field, it's like an energy field. Whatever you give into your team, you will receive. You receive what you give. And if you want to receive something, you need to be willing to give it first. It's like a cycle. It's like it all goes around, what comes around goes around, and there are some universal laws. And I know Elena has spoken here also, and I know also that she lives by those laws. And I see people thriving in the business, having the higher ranks, and I know they're connected to something so much bigger and greater than just their human presence.
I absolutely adore the metaphor, the analysis that you made with the Lighthouse. I think you definitely are a guide for many people in the business, and you are an inspiration. So thank you for being so gracious and generous to share your knowledge and your vision with me today, but with all the listeners as well. I learned a lot.
I think we're always learning, if you, just to end it all, if you have an attitude of, oh, this is interesting, if you're open to always be willing to learn, because there is no end. There is no end to that path we're all walking. But we can take each other's hand, sometimes physically, sometimes just, metaphorically, and we walk each other home. And home is, not your physical home. Home is a place where we all feel connected. Home is a place where we feel whole. And and I think a lot of people joining doTERRA and the doTERRA family feel like they're coming home. This is
To themselves.
yeah, and also to a tribe of people sharing the same vision, having the same values. And I think this is something that is so special about doTERRA and the whole, culture that is lived also by our founders, by Emily Wright and everyone, being so true with that.
Thank you again, Dani. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I cannot wait to be in your presence physically.
We will.
And maybe sharing a little cacao moment.
Next time I will bring some. We have a little cacao ceremony. Maybe someone, actually, this is like a little bit of a, funny story to end. Someone asked me, because so many people within the doTERRA, culture, a family that drink cacao, and they asked, when is doTERRA bringing out their cacao?
Oh, so you're using this podcast moment. I see what you're doing.
Infused with cardamom and vanilla.
You know what? Cardamom is my favorite essential oil.
It's amazing. But I love all the oils, sorry, I have to admit.
Same.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you, Dani. It was a pleasure to be able to talk to you today, and I cannot wait to see you in person.
Yes, let's share some more light.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave us a review to let us know your thoughts. Thank you, and see you next time.